Hello, everybody. The Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. This is going to be a real interesting Facebook post today, and what I wanted to talk about is the missing 911 gold, and then a person had suggested a couple of years ago. They said, "What if the 911 gold is them in the underground homes?" And I thought, "Oh, that's an interesting idea." And a lot of people don't even know what you're talking about when you say, what gold, missing 911 gold, And so I've got a Facebook post kind of, giving you a little idea, of the conspiracy theories about that. And of course, some things we know for a fact, right? We know 11 secret police were caught on camera covering up a capital murder attempt. We know that for a fact. We know it took 6 years and $2,000 reward to get them identified. We know they lied on police reports. We know they tampered with evidence. We know this is a capital attempted murder. We know multiple people are documented saying underground homes are here. We know one of them said it was put in for the Bushes, which are from Midland. And so there's a whole bunch that we know, but then there's things we don't know, and so sometimes you just do what if, could be, maybe, and just throw some ideas out there. And so I created this Facebook post, and here I'm going to show you where I started. I said one person suggested the Bush underground homes has a connection with 911 and asked if they stored the stolen gold there. My next comment was, some people don't know that it said that billions of dollars of gold went missing from under the World Trade Center during 911 when George W. Bush from Midland, Texas was president. Where would he store that much gold? The story about the missing gold starts around the 104 time mark in this famous video here called Loose Change Second Edition. And what that is, that's an hour-long video. That's had over 1 billion views. It is truly incredible if you've never watched it. Of course, that almost 20 years ago, but I suggest you watch it. And I'll put a little bit up here just showing you, this is a screenshot here. Crushed towers give up cache of gold ingots. And it was a news article. Recovery workers at Ground Zero had discovered hundreds of gold ingots, part of $1 billion cache which was lost when the Twin Towers fall. And then there was multiple stories on this. I'll just play just a second of it.
Discovered in the wreckage of the World Trade Center. Mayor Rudolph Giuliani announced that more than $230 million was recovered from Ground Zero. However, the COMEX Metals Trading Division was storing gold bars for the Bank of Nova Scotia, Chase Manhattan Bank, the Bank of New York and Hong Kong, and Shanghai Banking, totaling $950 million. And that's just one company. Rumor has it that over $160 billion in gold was stored in the World Trade Center. So where did all the gold go?
Where'd it go?
Remember the gold that was found in November 2001? Reuters reported that it was discovered in the back of a 10-wheel truck, along with several cars, in a delivery tunnel underneath World Trade Center 5. No bodies were recovered. As workers got closer to the gold, authorities began restricting access to Ground Zero, joined by FBI and Secret Service agents. One worker, directed away from the tunnel, told a reporter, "If I tried to go down there, they would have shot me." Heavy machinery operators and others worked under the watchful eye of more than 100 armed officers. So, let me get this straight. Gold from World Trade Center 4 was found underneath World Trade Center 5 in an empty delivery truck with an empty escort of cars. I think it's safe to say that they were running away from the South Tower. The question is, how did they know to flee from their stash when not even the firefighters inside the South Tower expected it to collapse? $167 billion in gold.
167 billion. 220 million found. Okay. And then, so there's a lot more to that. I just want to, kid you caught up on the missing gold 911 on the conspiracy theory. I found this online too, and I thought it was interesting. Short read. According to a November 1st, 2001 article in the London Times, the COMEX Metals Trading Division of New York Mercantile Exchange kept 3,800 gold bars weighing 12 tons and worth more than 100 million in vaults in the buildings, apparently Building 5, World Trade Center basement. COMEX also held 800,000 ounces of gold there on behalf of others with a value of about 220 million. It held more than 102 million ounces of silver, 430 million. The Times piece also reported that some of the recovered gold may have been found outside the vault. The gold which was discovered was being transported through the basement of the building on the morning of September 11th, reads the article. Recovery workers reached a service tunnel, discovered a 10-wheel truck and a number of cars that had been crushed by fallen steel. Another article appeared in the Daily News on October 31st, 2001 that corroborated the story. The sources says the gold was found in a delivery tunnel under 5 World Trade Center. If these accounts are true, they strongly conflict with the official story, which alleges that all the recovered metals were found inside the Bank of Nova Scotia vault under World Trade Center 4. This has led some to speculate that insiders with short-term advanced knowledge of the attacks made a frantic effort to transfer the treasures by truck to a safe, undisclosed location. Okay, what if that was a underground secret safe houses in Midland, Texas, hometown of the Bushes? That's what this video is about. Was the uncovered 10-wheel truck the last in the fleet of gold-laden rigs with an armed security escort? Did personnel decide to abandon these vehicles and flee on foot as they heard the structure above them given away? Answers to these questions may never be fully addressed as long as the federal government refuses to revisit the 911 tragedy with an adequate investigation. Like I said, I found that online. Okay. Anna wrote, she says, that's strange. The day of 911, there were explosions in the basement first. And if you're saying what I think you're saying, there's tunnels under the buildings. And only I've heard of tunnels in Central Park. That was just a comment from one of my Facebook friends. And I said, that video called Loose Change has had over 1 billion views. And it's truly incredible. There are lots more facts in there. I rewatched it this morning, and the whole entire thing. And it is truly incredible. If you've never seen that video, you should watch that video. It is amazing. Okay, so here I'm going to start with my next comment. One of the many people documented as saying that tunnels and underground homes are by my home in Midland, Texas, was Laylah O'Brien, who said that she worked on this underground safe house project. They had a budget of $7.35 million, and it was completed in 1987 when George H.W. Bush was Vice President of the United States under Reagan. She named the company that she worked for on this secretly recorded phone call, and it's called Bush Safe Houses in Midland, Texas. And I took our recording that I secretly recorded. After I started making this public, she mysteriously went offline. I remember asking her one time, I said, did you have to sign any kind of, non-disclosure agreements? Oh, I had to sign more stuff for that job than any job I ever worked, and I got a feeling somebody contacted her and told her to shut up, because, she was one of many people documented, but she had little details of the company she worked for, how much the budget was, anybody that looks at this huge amount of evidence and all these details knows they're here. You can see one of them on Google Maps. It's believed to be connected to multiple murders, and nobody's investigating them. Anyway, I'm going to go on. Laylah had wrote this on my Facebook timeline besides the phone call that was secretly recorded. I asked her if she had to, sign a non-disclosure, and I already mentioned that. Okay, so this is a screenshot right from my Facebook, and it was Laylah 7.35 million. And I said, miles, 7.35 miles? She says, million on permit, the cost of the project. It used to be called safe houses, I said, why would they build a safe house on private property they don't own? Sweetie, that is my professional expertise. She was a CAD programmer, okay? Build a drafter, a computer-assisted drafting, and that was her job. And interestingly, here, there was a woman, this is a side story, come down from Fort Worth. She was an expert. She'd seen my story online, and she met with the city of Midland people because she knew that there had to be permits for underground structures that they're required by law. And so she drove all the way from from Fort Worth to Midland, or Dallas to Midland, and had set up a meeting with the city of Midland. And as soon as she gets here, she's told by I think James Rawls was his name, with this shit-eating smile on his face. All our records just happened to be, accidentally were deleted in 2014, 2 years after I'm ambushed and shot by somebody under my home, And she says, I asked him about the basement under Home Depot, and it clearly unnerved him, And then later, when I Googled him, I found out he used to work for Home Depot, But that's a side story, that all the records for underground structures in Midland, Texas just happened to be deleted, and they're gone, government required records. Never heard of a backup before, in 2014, that's our IT people. They're so stupid they don't do backups. And I'm being facetious because actually that's ridiculous. Obviously there was backups. Obviously that was intentional deleting, and I believe they were covering up evidence to cover up capital murders myself. If that was the case, then that means we went to war in Afghanistan under false pretenses. Okay, do you see how this worked? If this 911 was a big gold heist, right, and then we killed 3,000 Americans and to steal that gold, and then we went to war and we killed, a million other people, then I wonder if that's why Biden is trying to get us out of Afghanistan right now so quickly. And that's just a news article from the last week. Biden depends pulling U.S. out of Afghanistan as Taliban advances. And I will say, I didn't vote for Biden, but I support that. Boy, get us out of there. I am sick and tired of war, okay? And especially war over there. And that we're in that war because of 911. That may explain why somebody very powerful stopped Free Press in America to hide the story of the first known secret police gang since Nazi Germany, who were accidentally caught on camera covering up a capital attempted murder. These guys are busted more than you could be busted. They accidentally started a camera, caught themselves covering up a premeditated capital attempted murder. It took 6 years, a $2,000 war to get them identified. Ain't nothing happened, but more crimes, and there's their names. That's the story of the world famous secret police. And in that video, you saw a picture a minute ago of Giuliani, right? He was mayor of New York at the time. He's the one that quickly moved all the evidence out, and it's in that video, Loose Change. And I thought it was interesting. Also in the news this week was Giuliani lost his law license. And then Donald Rumsfeld dies, and Donald Rumsfeld, the Arabic architect of the Iraq War and master Washington power player who served as U.S. Secretary of Defense for 2 presidents, died at the age of 88. This is all this week. Rumsfeld dies, right? Biden is getting us out of Afghanistan pronto. Giuliano's losing his law license, and old buddy's calling to expose these underground safe houses in Midland, Here, I put no place like home. What this is a wall plaque that I found at an antique store, okay? And what it is was it come from the Bush home in Midland, Texas on 1405 Golf Course. That's where George W. and Laura Bush used to live, and they have a piece of carpet from their house. Actually, when I first transferred to town in 2008, my realtor showed me that house, but I just thought the price was too much. But the interesting thing about it was owned by a president, but it was still too much, so I ended up getting this house. Okay. I do believe this is somebody else. Justin said, I do believe 911 was an inside job, And then Anna says 911 wasn't an inside job. There was Americans being paid off for damages by the government, I believe, for 911. And then Justin says the original Loose Change video woke me up too. How corrupt our government truly is. Okay. And then here I have another comment. Midland, Texas is the hometown of 2 presidents, George H.W. Bush and his son, George W. Bush. There's a street sign or whatever. And I went on, I said, interestingly, George W. Bush, this is the son, used to be an oilfield landman in Midland, Texas. It's suspected that a young landman attorney named Matt Hyman died in my hallway 2 weeks before the murder attempt, electrocuted. I got videos on that. And then 2 of his friends, both landmen, threatened me, okay? It makes sense that landmen would be involved in the underground oil show parties. And the point I'm making is, George Bush used to be a landman in Midland, Texas. You think he knows about the $1 million underground homes where they're hosting oil show parties, Of course he does, Of course he does. They were put in for his dad, right? And this is where it's believed the underground oil show parties were held. It's said to be 4 3-bedroom, $1 million underground homes, okay? And this is just a short video, 2-minute video that I just made here, and I was doing it real quick to show you.
Hurley told me about a young girl that was murdered at a party going on during the Permian Basin International Oil Show. And she was leaving my home and at the party in 5 minutes, okay? And I know that because we talked on the phone while she drove here. What we're looking at right now is Google Earth. It's a download, and I've already got it at my home at 3802 Fair Circle, right behind the Midland Home Depot store. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, here's where I believe that the parties were at and where she went. She left my house, and she drove around, and I believe she went and she parked in that parking lot in front of Home Depot, okay? And I'm going to zoom in here, okay, on my house right here, and I'm going to show you behind Home Depot, you can see where the ground was cut right there, okay, where
where the asphalt's a different color aimed directly at my house, and it's believed in the backyard is where one of the underground homes is at, and that's where I believe the old show parties are at, and where that young girl was murdered. I'm going to jump over to I want to look over here at Google Maps. Okay, this is Google Maps on the internet. Same picture. There's Home Depot. Here's my home. The reason I look here, it's got the block screen. Now I'm going to zoom in on the block map here. Okay, right here. This is my home, and see this big, large building in my backyard. That is not there. It's right here. You can see it in the picture. There's no large building there. I believe that's one of the 4 underground homes I was told, $1 million underground homes. I was told they were here. They were put in for George H.W. Bush in '87 when he was Vice President of the United States, and that's where them oil show parties were going at. Now remember, I've documented multiple people saying that that these underground homes are here. This is one of them right here. There you go.
At least 25. See, there's a lot of details that people come there. You know, how many bedrooms? Well, there's 3 bedrooms. You know, how many are there? There's 4 of them. You know, how deep are they? At least 25 foot deep. What was the budget on them? $7.35 million. Who were they put in for? George H.W. Bush. See, there is plenty of details there. Plus, you can see it on Google Maps. You know, and then the question on this video is, what if they were putting that 911 gold? It's got to go somewhere, right? And that's where it went, in Bush's hometown. They put them on them 10-wheel trucks and trucked it across the country when the whole country was shut down, and then come in the secluded truck unloading lane and then unloaded them. You know, I just think it's an interesting what-if question. Laylah O'Brien said that she worked on this underground project, and I think we already read that. Someone skipped that. I showed Homeland Security where I believe the tunnel was located that's connected the Midland Home Depot store to the underground home in my backyard, and 2 weeks later the ground was dug up and concrete was poured there. That was on July 2nd, 2019. If you Google that date, it's the same day that Vice President Pence mysteriously turned around in the air and flew back to Washington for an emergency. And I believe the emergency was Buddy Webb was meeting Homeland behind the Home Depot store to show them where a human trafficking murder tunnel was that connected to the underground homes here. That's what I'm suspecting, okay? So I've long suspected Pence was involved in that. 2 weeks after I got this on video, U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway announces his retirement. He's from Midland and a friend of the Bushes, and come to find out his brother-in-law used to live across the street from my home before I moved here. That'd be John Lejeune, Mike Conaway's brother-in-law. 3 months later, U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kevin McClellan mysteriously resigned. And then 6 days later, U.S. Secretary of Energy Rick Perry resigned. He was governor of Texas, when these oil show parties were going on. Trump's the one that made him the Secretary of Energy. A lot of people have wondered if the oil companies wasn't leaning on him to cover up these underground homes, where they're having the parties and that young girl was murdered at. Anyway, this is from a video called, Contacted Homeland. Now they're pouring concrete. You could see the concrete coming off the truck behind the Home Depot store. My home is right here on the other side. That's where that tunnel is. I'm showing you. Well, here's the map. Here it is right here. You can see where the ground's cut. Here's my home. Here's where the underground home is in the backyard. That's one of 4 of them. Here's a Home Depot store, and they're back there pouring concrete. 2 weeks after I showed Homeland Security where a human trafficking murder tunnel was at. But what if the real reason was it's connected to 911, okay? And now they're like, get us out of Afghanistan. Let's take Giuliani's license. Rumsfeld happens to die. A lot of weird things are happening all of a sudden. What if the secret underground safe houses put in for the Bushes has a connection to 911? That's what this video is about. That would explain the unprecedented lawlessness that we're seeing. One of my recent Facebook posts was, how can we have homeowners all across the nation reporting people in the attic? I'm ambushed and shot, burglar alarms on my attic, not a single news story in the nation. Somebody very powerful is manipulating, stopping free press in America, And so anyway, I just thought I'd share that to you right here. Gold found, or gold in Midland, Texas. Ain't that interesting? Buddy Webb.